All right, here we are with a weekly update, and it's a video I don't want to make. You know I didn't want to make this one, and there's a good reason why. Look at this chart. Just look at it. Look here, right here. Have you ever seen a bar that massive on this website? That's a massive bar. So today we're obviously going to be talking about the markets. I'm going to give you a portfolio update, so stay tuned for that. Show you where my portfolio is sitting at after this week. We're going to go ahead and talk about some news and some stocks to look out for. So I hope you enjoy this, so let's get right into it. You see the Dow down 12.5% nearly for the week, past 5 days. And that's only because Friday here leveled off quite a bit. Friday was an okay day. The rest of the days, nightmare. I mean, we're talking down 3-4% every freaking day. So year to date now, we're down 11% in the market. Again, if you look at it from a year out, down only 2%. So what I think is kind of crazy is last year again. Last year's a year in which we saw markets rising 30% for the full year. So the idea that this is something that's crazy, I don't think is necessarily fair. I do think there's a little too much fear-mongering going around. Taking a good old sip there. A little too much fear-mongering regarding this coronavirus outbreak. I think all we have is negative sentiment right now. It's just people being negative. The media is going crazy, and obviously the media is nothing but clowns anyways. But everyone's freaking out, and obviously people spreading this news are not helping anyone anyways. So that's really what's making this market have this huge downturn, and overall we were due for a correction anyways. So all things considered, I certainly did not sell anything during this, and I do plan on holding everything, and actually have accumulated a lot more on some certain shares that I've been interested in getting in. So I'm pretty excited actually. I've picked up some shares of some stock I wanted to get some more shares in, and without hurting dollar cost average, or I've created some new positions in some cases as well, which I think is interesting. Obviously, I like adding new positions, but I like getting cheap shares too. I don't like messing up my dollar cost average too much, so anything I can get cheaper, I'm taking. So I put in a couple big deposits. Regardless, let's look at the S&P 500. Fell down under 3,000, which sucks pretty hard, because again, on the 5-day, down 11.5%. But again, a year out, thing is up 5%. So all things considered, can't be too upset if you consider that last year, all things combined, I mean, was such a high move. Not anything too frustrating going on there. But again, a very rough week, down 11.5%. Now the NASDAQ. You're not going to like this one. You're not going to like this one. That's right, baby. That's right. The NASDAQ tech heavy, honestly holding some weight. Holding the lumber here. Only down 10.5. Can you believe it? The NASDAQ's usually the biggest, most extreme price moves you'll typically see. But tech wasn't necessarily the big issue. Obviously, companies like Apple certainly got hammered quite a bit. But overall, the NASDAQ performed better than the other indices, which is pretty exciting. And then a year out still, this thing's up 12.8%. So something to be said about the NASDAQ there, for sure. So now I really quick want to see, if you look at my portfolio, how I did this past week. So this past week, I am down 8.37%. Lost $1,400 in value to this portfolio. Obviously not something I like. There's no doubt about it. I don't want to admit to big losses like that. But guess what? That's a big loss. I think overall I'm pretty well happy with the way my portfolio is laid out. And I think that shows in the fact that I'm only down 8.3% in a time in which the market saw, every indice saw over a 10% drop. I did find it a little bit better in terms of performance than the indices did. So I do think I have my portfolio pretty well laid out. So I'm pretty excited about that. but I added obviously some more to a couple more positions. Added a little bit more in terms of my Ford shares. Added a Gillette Sciences share, because why not? Added Kohl's, Tapestry. I added some Tapestry in there. Another share of iRobot, which I love. Love me some good old iRobot. Looking to add a little TD Ameritrade in there. Definitely something I'm interested in. NRZ, I'm looking at picking up some NRZ currently. And I don't think there's anything else that I really added. I did not, so nothing too crazy going on here. But you see some of these lovely, my speculative stocks. The only one's in the green. I hate it. But that's my portfolio there. Just a little glimpse of it, at least for an update for this. So I just wanted to show that I did outpace the market. What can I say? But what was the main news of today's week? Obviously, coronavirus fears. And we finally reached officially a correction status. So we had enough in terms of downward movement to where this is technically officially a correction, which is interesting stuff. So obviously we haven't seen a correction since December of 2018, and this one was a little bit worse than that if you account for today. But obviously not. It could be worse. Could be worse stuff. As far as what we can do to counteract this coronavirus, well, I think there are some winners out there in the market, no doubt. So we have Gillette Science working on 2 phase 3 studies for potential coronavirus cure. Obviously, and I've mentioned this, by the time we actually do find a viable source for cure, I think that there's a good chance that this coronavirus isn't necessarily an issue anymore and it'll be dwindling. So that's just typically how it goes with these types of diseases. But we will see. I could be proven wrong. There's no doubt about it. But Gillette Sciences, this is why I picked up another share. I was interested to see what they could do. And if they do something, this could send the stock up pretty big. So I'm excited to see. Regardless, they pay a nice dividend, so I enjoy them. So we have stocks having the worst week since 2008. Yikes. And this is again all because of anxiety over the coronavirus impact, what it could do for this upcoming quarter for us, and just really the overall market conditions. People are concerned that this could hurt our market, send us into recession territory. I don't see it happening. I think our economy is very strong right now. I'm excited to see if we can just push this out. I think there's also some fear that people were afraid that the Fed would be cutting interest rates again too, which again could send the market down pretty big. But I'm not too concerned, so we'll see how we do there. We have Amazon actually setting a little bit of a travel ban of their own, asking employees not to take any vacations that are not essential travel outside of the United States. Even within the United States, they don't want them to. So it's interesting to see that that's what Amazon's statement is on that. So big companies like that saying that obviously means quite a bit. So obviously I just want this all out of the way. But again, Amazon is going crazy right now, telling them, don't you dare leave your state. Don't leave anywhere. Just stay in your house. But then we have lovely Tim Cook, Apple CEO, coming out saying that this is only a temporary condition, which, again, I really like him for saying that, because this is something that could really help the market be a little bit more calm. Tim Cook saying that pretty much Apple products are built everywhere, and they are truly global products. Several parts made in the U.S. They're pretty much made everywhere. Again, they get parts from everywhere. So Tim Cook does not believe there should be much of a supply chain issue because of this, which I think is fantastic as Apple. When Apple does well, the market's going to do well. So hopefully Apple can do pretty well here. I'm interested to see what this next quarter looks like, what this next year looks like for them. But I think overall things are going to be fine. We had U.S. crude oil having the worst week in more than 11 years. Oil prices dropped sharply. Again, it just pretty much people selling out of everything. and just overall market prices going down on just everything. Um, but obviously, oil not that great of a resource to be in, anyways. I definitely would um, never be in any sort of oil type companies right now. Just the market sentiment's too negative on them, and then you add this coronavirus on top of it. Just really rough for oil type companies out there, or just oil as a commodity, pretty rough. But we do see that Spirit Aerospace says that it plans to restart limited production of the 737 MAX from Boeing starting in March. So that's interesting. Obviously, the plane's got nothing but issues. My concern now, obviously, regardless of if they start producing it again, I think there's always going to be that stigma of what happened with the 737 MAX. I mean, there's no doubt that you can't really outplay that no matter what you say. I think it's a bad idea for Boeing to even consider bringing these back. I think they just need to decommission them all. I think they do. It's a negative name, and it's a bad view for the business, because it looks like you're okay with sending out the plane, because people who aren't following up on this stuff aren't really going to know that this is a different model. They're not going to know. I think they need to do something in order to get that brand awareness, not to a negative standpoint, because this is obviously, it just looks bad on them to send a plane that caused some crashes, killed a lot of people. I say a lot, but really anyone's life lost is sad. So obviously a lot is anything more than once a lot in my perspective. So, but definitely concerning. I just don't think it's a good idea for the company to still fly these planes. Regardless, I wanted to talk about one stock that I think might be a little interesting now, would be Beyond Meat. After reporting earnings, now down 15.5% on Friday. In a quarter in which they put up a fantastic number in terms of revenue, 200% gain year over year, $98 million in revenue, beat by 16 or nearly 17 million, so very good quarter there. But on a GAAP EPS standpoint, they were pretty much break even, which is surprising. This is a company that last quarter or last year lost a lot of money. Net income of negative $500,000 versus, again, last year they lost $7.5 million. So overall, pretty exciting. Gross profit sort of 34% sales versus 25% a year ago. Definitely exciting, and then anticipates a full year revenue of 490 to 510 million for the full fiscal year of 2020, versus a consensus of 486, so above consensus. Revenue closed, so gross margin seems landing in the range of 33 to 35 for the full year, again, which is very good for them. So they should see profit, all things considered. I don't know if this was a negative conference call. I didn't listen to the conference call yet because I've been, busy with work and stuff, but I haven't listened to the conference call. But I think this might be an interesting stock now. Obviously, this stock I thought was quite overvalued for a while, but I think after this 15% drop, it might be at a point where it could be worth picking up, because again, the hype is definitely here with this stock. I mean, if you're growing, I think it's still definitely overvalued. I don't think there's any denying that at all. But if you're growing your revenue 200% year over year, you're doing something right. And they're signing new partnerships every single day. And they'll only continue doing that as this health craze and really renewable and sustainable food becomes only more of a craze, I should say. It'll be interesting to see. I'm excited to see what can happen. I might pick up Beyond Meat shares, it's rare for me to say. I don't typically do that. But if it stays around the 90 range come Monday, I might. If it comes down another even 2-3% down to 87, 80, 88, I might pick some up. And you think that's crazy for me, but trust me, I might. I hope you enjoyed this, though. That's your weekly recap.